If you're watching this video on the day of its release, today the United States of America turns 250 years old. And while we might not be a perfect nation, we have some work to do as always. There are three things we know we can be proud of: baseball, apple pie, and the Chevy Corvette. I would like to honorably mention Tony Hawk as well in that listing, but I think it's a solid three lineup. Now, here today, we have two generations of the Chevy Corvette. This is a C7 Corvette, manufactured from 2014 until 2020. And behind me is a C8. This started in 2020 and is still going on today, getting better and better with every model year. And so today, we're gonna be taking a look at these two vehicles and what changed in the Corvette's biggest change in history that occurred between the C7 and the C8. So let's start off here on the C7. This is a Stingray Corvette, and the engine doesn't really matter. This is the 6.2 liter V8, the LS engine. This is pretty much what every Corvette of this era came with. The important thing isn't the engine itself, but rather the placement of the engine. As every single Corvette before it, this has a big V8 up front, powering the rear wheels. That's how it had always been. That's how the Corvette was always made, from the C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, and of course, here in the C7. So from that standpoint, why go changing something that has worked so well? Well, the engineers over at GM decided to ask that question. What would happen if they changed up the original recipe? And we got this. The C8 has the engine in basically the back. Technically, it's a midship because it's in between the front and rear wheels, but you open up the back of the car for the engine. And this was the first time Corvette had ever done this. They had done concepts in the past and had theorized what it might be like to do a mid-engine Corvette, but they finally put pen to paper, they finally built that clay model, and they finally did the R&D to create this. Now, this specific one is the Z06. This is a 5.5 liter V8 flat plane crank monster of an engine that produces 670 horsepower, but you could still find these with the 6.2 liter V8 and more natural V8s as well. Again, I don't want to do a direct engine-to-engine comparison. I want to talk about where that engine is located, and between the C7 and C8, it changed dramatically to now be in the back. Something else pretty dramatically changed as well. You could option the C7 with a 7-speed manual transmission, one of the highest gear counts of any passenger car available. 7 speeds, shifting on your own, clutch, shifter, boom. Real tough guy stuff. For the C8, they got rid of the manual transmission in its entirety. You cannot buy a C8 Corvette, as of the recording of this video, 2026. You cannot buy one with a manual transmission, so they opted for a dual clutch, 8-speed automatic transmission. And so, with those huge differences between the C8 and C7, what's it like to drive? What are the benefits? What are the downsides? Well, let's go try it out. So, I figured we would start off in the C7 Corvette. This is a 2016 Corvette Stingray with the 6.2 liter V8, as we talked about earlier. Makes about 460 horsepower. If you did not option the performance exhaust, you lost 5 horsepower, so 455 to 460. Not any barn burn or anything crazy like that, and definitely way less power than the C8 that we'll drive here in a second. But we're not here to talk about engine to engine, we're here to talk about platform and feeling. And when you drive a C7 Corvette, or really any Corvette before the C8, what you feel is you feel that massive V8 up front pulling you along. If you've ever ridden in a little red wagon and had your mom or dad pull you, it's kind of what it feels like. All the energy, everything is happening up in front of you. It's beating you to the finish line by a little bit. And that's kind of always been the charm of the Corvette. It's this big motor and a little chassis, and you go fast. That's really the whole ethos of it. All right, so admittedly, putting the C7 Stingray up against a C8 Z06 is a little bit like bringing a bazooka to a knife fight. But I can talk about the overall feeling of the chassis. Besides the fact that the Z06 is a lot crazier, the overall feeling changes As I mentioned, the C7 feels like you're being pulled or tugged or hurried along. This, you feel a lot more in the action because you see car out in front of you, but all the power is coming from behind you. So it's almost like this 360 experience. Every way you look and feel is something that is making you faster. Where the C7 and prior, everything's happening up there. Everything back here is just extra cargo, including me, but not this. You're in it. You're in it. The C7 feels like conducting the orchestra. This feels like I'm playing right in the middle with everyone. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a computer game way back in the day called Roller Coaster Tycoon. You would build a theme park. And Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 lets you actually ride the rides in first person. That's what this feels like. This feels like Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Ride the Rides. That was the full name of the game. Anyway, let's go do this race. Probably the quickest drag race we'll ever do. Go. Now. Woo! Little bit of wheel spin there. Yeah. It still got squirrely though. It's still, because this is rear wheel drive, it doesn't have a front motor or anything like that, like the E-Ray, like the ZR1X. That is, yeah. Doing that pull, that's what I mean with the C7, is that it feels like it's tugging at my shirt. Like this is what it, sorry, it's probably screwing up the audio. But driving a C7 is like, come on, we're going to the beach, or, you know, whatever. That's what this feels like. And going back to the C4, the C3, the C2, it's always been that way. It almost has this, like, deity strength, you know? And that's what this has felt like. And boy, we don't get anything quite like this anymore. Driving this is like being on top of a turret of a tank, you know? It just has that feeling about it. I like being involved, and sure, I'm not shifting my own gears, but that just means it's one less priority that I have when I'm trying to keep this thing straight on the road. Oh, I can make keeping it out of the ditches my top priority. This is just such a whirlwind, and it feels so different. It feels exotic. It has the feeling of exotic cars. It hits all the same notes as Lamborghini and Ferrari and McLaren. But this was built by some bros in Kentucky. And the motor was built by my good friend Shannon. And it really feels like Corvette closed the book. GM closed the book on front engine Corvettes. With the C7, it's great. As you saw, I love the C7. It's fantastic. But it truly feels like they said, done, dusted, that's over. We had a good time. It's a mutual breakup. We had some fun together. We had great memories, and I'll always cherish those memories. But it's time to do something else. It's time to go capture something else. And now Corvette is trying to capture lap times with the ZR1X and the Mustang GTD fighting it out. That's what's in store for the future of the Corvette. The fun, silly games of going down to the soda pop shop, those are long in the rear view. All this thing wants to do now is anamorph into a cruise missile. And I'll let it. I'll let it. Woo! And so there we have it. Those are my driving impressions comparing the front-engine manual C7 to the mid-engine automatic C8. Now, of course, these vehicles are very different, especially in their trim levels. This is a nearly base model Stingray. This is a pretty heavily performance-oriented Z06. So it's not quite an apples-to-apples comparison, but I hope you found some type of insight in this video. As I do at the end of all of my comparison videos, I get to ask you, the viewers, the hard questions. And in the past, I've said, oh, would you rather take this Cavalier or Cavalier wagon? Would you rather take the old Z or new Z? But this might be one of the hardest decisions to make. If I could drop off one of these vehicles to your house with no miles on it, which one would you take? As much as I love rowing my own gears, I'm taking the Z. It's just brutal. It's insane. It's exotic. And this is the future, where this is a very fond memory of the past. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Clay and Rob for letting me borrow their Corvettes here today. What an awesome, awesome experience it has been. I am so incredibly grateful. I also reviewed their Firebird and their C4 Grand Sport. So if you'd like to see in-depth reviews of those vehicles, you could find it on my channel, as well as you could find in-depth reviews of both of these cars on the channel recently as well. So they'll be linked at the end of this video. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.